Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar on improving government services with Office 365 and SharePoint. Seems like we got a pretty good crowd today, so we'll get going. A lot of material to cover. Do want to point out a few things before we get going. One is that there is a question box in the GoToWebinar screen, and you can put questions in there, and we'll try to answer them during the webinar. We have Ryan on board for that. If we don't get to them during the webinar, we'll answer them in an email after the webinar and communicate with you. Of course, we always encourage people to talk to us one-on-one anyway, because there's maybe specific needs you have or requirements or interest in particular aspect of the programs, and it's always good to talk about that individually. In this webinar, I'll give a general presentation of what you can do in Office 365 and SharePoint on premises with government, as well as what we offer in our NITRO Studio and our applications. One other point before I get going is that there will be a recording of this webinar available afterwards. It's being recorded right now, and we will make that available to everybody who registered, as well as, of course, the attendees and anybody who registered and couldn't make it here will get a recording. Okay, let's get going. Again, thank you for joining on today. So I am Scott Restivo. Let's see, get it going here. Scott Restivo, President and CEO of Crocan Software. We have been around 22 years. We are very much firmly focused in the Microsoft collaboration space. We have been building applications and solutions in that for ever since 1999, so it's almost like 22, 23 years now. And our focus is on Microsoft business applications we build that will run inside of Office 365 SharePoint, and whether that's on premises or up in the cloud. We do both. We also have our NITRO Studio, which is a forms and workflow platform that some of you may be familiar with already. I recognize some of the names on the webinar. And that's a really great tool for building new solutions, replacing InfoPath and doing other legacy programs, replacing them with modern forms. And we also do custom solutions, and we have AI and bot services, more like the leading edge stuff. And I'll show you some of the bot today if hopefully there'll be time. We are a preferred Microsoft partner. We are California certified small business, and we have a GSA contract on that. So we're well embedded in the government space, also as well as the Microsoft space in general. We work in all industries, but one of our focuses lately has been the government of all sizes. We do have a number of workshops that we run on using NITRO Studio. These are once or twice a month, and James leads them. Some of you may know him, some may have attended them on particular aspects. I'm just showing you that we do have an active community of people using NITRO Studio, and we're actively keeping them engaged and up to date on what the latest and greatest you can do with NITRO in the Office 365 and SharePoint spaces. We have another webinar in 2 weeks. I'll be giving this on using Microsoft Teams in Office 365 to replace InfoPath and other legacy tools. It's kind of like bringing MS Teams more to the forefront on how to engage and use that tool. Microsoft's pushing pretty heavy these days, and hopefully that will give all of us some insights into how Teams can be used, as well as along with our NITRO Studio and other aspects of what we provide here, our applications. So we have a number of government certifications. I want to just, kind of show you our bona fides, more or less. Our products work in the commercial Office 365, as well as the GCC, the Government Community Cloud, and now the GCC High, which is a big step forward. That's not quite the DoD, but it's a more secure version than the general GCC. It's a GCC High, and that's what a number of our contractors and other people who do defense work are starting to use this GCC High implementation that we have. But of course, we work in the commercial Office 365 and the regular GCC. We are registered in the SAM government database, if that's of interest to you. We are GSA Schedule 70 contract holder. We're a California certified small business. We're Microsoft 365 business applications preferred partner. We do a lot in conjunction with Microsoft, and we've been working with them for over 22 years. And we have customers all over the world in many industries, but in government, we have many federal government, but also other governments like Canada and Australia and UK. We have Ireland. We have state, county, city, and government agencies, military defense, UN, NGOs. So pretty widespread in the government space, doing a lot of meeting different needs or requirements of those agencies all around the world. And big focus on federal And being that we're based in California, there's a lot of work with the California government, which of course is kind of a whole world in itself because it's so large. We are based in California. It's our headquarters. We also have an office in Rhode Island on the East Coast, and we have South Carolina. We have people in Charleston, down there in the Charleston, South Carolina area. We also have a team in India that does some of our development support work when we're supporting the APAC region, such as anywhere from Dubai over to Australia and New Zealand. Okay, here's some examples of what we've done, California government, federal government, other government. You see the number of California government, being that we're a certified small business. It's both the state level at the tax board, Department of Social Services, but also local cities and education and transportation authorities. Federal government, we're a lot of military and the Department of Energy, Department of Justice. Is that up there? It should be, but we're in Department of Justice now. Forest Service, National Laboratory of Los Alamos. You can see a number of places here. And then we're in a range of other government between counties and cities and different commissions and health districts and things like that. So it's really, really nice for us to be involved like that and see that we can really help these organizations improve services to their constituents or clients or citizens and all that. So it's great to be able to it's great to be in a position where we can be providing solutions that really help these organizations move into the modern forms and modern workflows on the Microsoft platform. So let's look a little bit deeper into what we provide. We work on SharePoint on premises, 2013, 2016, and 2019. A lot of organizations are still on those. We also will be working in what they're calling the SE edition, the subscription edition, which is the next version of on premises. It's going to be a subscription base, but it is an on-premises running in your farm. Microsoft is trying to move everything to subscription, so even on-premises is going to move to subscription. I wrote a blog on that recently. It's up on our website if you want to see more information about that new coming of the on-premises version, the SE version. It's great for people who want to keep things secure. Inside, all the data is kept inside your firewall. Nothing's called to outside. It runs in 2013, 2016, 2019. And the one point I wanted to make is that the Power Platform, the so-called Power Apps, Power Automate, that's not even available on premises without working out some kind of hybrid gateway and all this other kind of complex stuff. So if you're looking for that, use NITRO Studio Secure, and you'll be all set to move off of InfoPath or outdated SharePoint workflows if you're on SharePoint on premises. If you're not on premises, there's the Office 365 world. And when I talk about the commercial and public cloud, most of us are in that. It's funny, we talk to people all over the world, and almost it's so widespread, Office 365 these days. It still is quite amazes me. But in terms of government, there's the GCC. Probably some of you your organizations are on the GCC, which is just mostly for U.S., federal, state, local, tribal, territorial government to use. It gives a little more level of security. And then there's the GCC High and DoD. Now we run in the GCC High with dedicated installations, not in the DoD. That's very, very advanced security there, but we do run in the GCC High, and people are already signing up for us to install our NITRO Studio or our applications in GCC High, so they get the full benefit of those applications in it. Azure is another aspect to this, and if you're not aware, there is commercial Azure and Azure Government. Most people are in commercial Azure, but we also run in the Azure Government. So that's how we work with the GCC High. It was not easy to set that up. We had to work with Microsoft and government and get security qualifications, but we're glad that we took the effort, and people are knowing that Crow Canyon is very concerned about security and very concerned about using the latest and greatest tools that we can to keep organizations secure and make sure. I mean, we run on Microsoft, so we're based on what they do, but we use all the elements we can of that to make sure we have secure implementations of NITRO Studio in our application. Now, if you follow Microsoft at all, there's a ton of information on Microsoft and from Microsoft on government. There's this idea of the cloud. I mean, you can go through their website and find all kinds of information and documentation and things on government. Let me go over and just show you some of the stuff. So in case you're interested, I could give you links to these. If you're interested in that kind of thing, reading in more detail about government digital transformation and the strategies for success, you could go here and read through these more high-level documents. There's the 4 elements of successful strategy. There's the ebook on digital transformation in government. And then there's improve your services and how to improve the government CX, which is kind of an odd acronym. I guess CX. I guess it means customer experience or citizen experience or constituent experience. But, this whole concern that there's ways to improve the experience and the engagement, not only with the people outside your organization, the people you serve, but also your internal people, and plenty of information on it. One reason I bring this up is because one important thing here that, as I go through this is this high-level concept. See, that says IDEA, IDEA. I mean, it finally took me a while to see that and figure out that that's what they're doing here. IDEA, idea. Inspire, design, empower, achieve. Well, the point here is that there has to be some buy-in from the organization that you want to move in this direction, that you want to go through the digital transformation. We provide the tools, and I think that's one of the things that we see is that we know here that we have tools and have been very successful in many organizations to bring this digital transformation and modernization, streamline operations, greater efficiency, and all those. But there has to be some kind of inspiration or motive inside the organization to do it. So anything we can do to help with that, to prove, if you need to talk to higher ups or CIOs or everything who want to get the vision, let us know, and we'll work with them and show them that not only is Microsoft behind this, but the stuff that Crow Canyon provides is really something to jump on board with, and find that can have a lot of success in moving off of old legacy programs. There's always sort of an institutional inertia in these things where people have been doing that way for years. We just moved somebody off of Access Forms that was created sometime in the mid 1990s, and the only reason they did it is because the person who who knew the Access is retiring. He wrote it way back in 20-something years ago, 20, 30 years, 25. Anyway, and had been maintaining it. It's kind of his gig was to maintain it for that time. But now he's retiring, and they're forced to move off of the Access database, and a good thing too, because there's so much more you can do with the modern solutions than could have been done something created 20 or more years ago, obviously, right? Another big thing is Teams for government. That's my webinar. A couple of weeks we'll focus on Teams in general, not just for government, but we're looking at ways to use Teams. Well, we have ways to use Teams, but even more embracing Teams fully as a component of Office 365 that will be very, very beneficial to use. It does take some, there's a curve though to get there, a learning curve. It isn't like you just, oh, there's Teams, let's use it. As we go through it and work with our customers, there's a lot of value in Teams, but it has to be implemented and governed and put right. And I won't go too much into that in this webinar, but I just want to mention that there is that push for Teams for government, using that as well as SharePoint and Office 365. And we see the benefit in it. We've done some work in that direction, and all our applications and our NITRO Studio can be used in conjunction with Teams. We have a NITRO bot that runs in Teams. We have portals that run in Teams. We have we can communicate with the channels in Teams. I'll show you some of that later in this webinar. But just that's kind of an up and coming thing. How to use Teams more in government, and we'll go into that more. Okay, so now let's look at Crow Canyon specifically, how we work with improving government through automation. And is anybody saying something here? Okay. And so the basic point we make over and over again here is that you can replace the outdated, inefficient systems. Now, there's two words there: outdated and inefficient. If they weren't outdated and inefficient, why would you replace them? But they are outdated and inefficient, so it makes sense to replace them. A lot of people, we actually have people still talking to us about paper forms, but most people are using email and spreadsheets to manage requests or processes. Now, that's okay. I mean, that's what it's been done, but it's time to move off of these and find the solutions. And again, it's like having that vision. It's getting over that hump, that institutional inertia, and pushing the organization forward through some kind of intentional visionary effort to move to this, to see this future. That's why they're talking about inspire, this vision, empower, embrace, design, make this whole thing of like, look, you can do this, it's good, it's going to work out, and it's going to be very beneficial to the government agency you work for. Let's go, let's do it. So one of it is replacing the outdated and inefficient systems. And a lot of people are on legacy systems, Lotus Notes, InfoPath forms, SharePoint workflows, the Access forms, or they bought some enterprise software that is expensive, and they have these multiple systems that don't really coordinate with each other. There's a real move at Office 365, especially to coordinate systems into one single entity, where you're using Office 365 and Teams and our NITRO Studio and our applications, and it becomes a much more unified whole. And you got a single sign-on. You have people navigating through the system and not having to jump from this program to that program. Also for IT, it helps manage things better, so you don't have to keep maintenance and logins and passwords and support from all these different places. You work with Microsoft, you work with Crow Canyon, and that's basically it. And you can bring other things into the Office 365 ecosystem, but it's really about embracing that concept that a lot of work can be done by keeping it consolidating things into Office 365 world. Now, you still have integration with third-party ERPs or with databases, with web services, and all that's in our NITRO Studio capable of doing that. But the core becomes within the business process automation inside of Office 365, Teams, and SharePoint. Now, if you're on premises, the same idea inside of SharePoint. You don't have Teams, but you can work inside of SharePoint in that same model. And consolidation also produces a lot of efficiencies in itself. So I'll show you things in a minute and get off the PowerPoints, but one thing I did want to point out here is that we've done a lot with InfoPath replacement over the last 3 or 4 years. We've been big on that. We have a whole set of resources here. I'll bring over our website. It's one of our main, this is the main page right here, but one of our pages is about InfoPath replacement. We've done a huge number of InfoPath replacement projects, and people have maybe 10, 20, 30 forms, sometimes 1,000 forms. We have ways to work on it, and we have a lot of experience moving off InfoPath. And the same applies to Access, and the same applies to Lotus Notes or other such legacy systems. We're here to help you renovate the house, so to speak, to move off of things and gain the advantages of the modern solutions that, mobile, cloud-based, more efficient use, and really just the modernizations that's needed to move your organization, your agency forward. Hopefully, I think people attending this webinar already kind of get the vision that this is something that really could be done. Now, how do you get the rest of the organization to embrace it and fund it, really, is what it comes down to, and both in terms of cost of doing it, but also the investment of resources to move over, the training and re-gearing that goes on. So here's one where we're talking about improving government automation, better living through science, kind of sounds like, doesn't it? Improving government automation. So you want to improve operational efficiency by automating common functions, instead of, there's a lot of automation that can be built in using the software, even with any kind of process you're doing, any kind of request, you can just automate it with our workflows, our forms and workflows. You can facilitate collaboration, replace the outdated systems, and there's we have a website on some government solutions here. Won't belabor that much, but I do want to talk about some things that NITRO Studio brings: the advanced workflows, forms designer, mobile apps, document generation, process intelligence, and connectors. So NITRO Studio is our forms and workflow platform that powers up our applications, as well as it can be used in and of itself to create your own applications. Part of the concept is like this. It is a kind of conceptual slide right here, that you have your SharePoint or Office 365 kind of as your foundation. You have NITRO Studio with all its power and capabilities that we bring. It's from proprietary to us. It's from Crow Canyon Software. We developed it over the last 5 or 10 years, and it is able to power a number of applications that we provide out of the box. We have these out of the box applications ready to go. You want to implement them, tweak them, customize them, and then you can have these solutions in place quite quickly and quite easily. And there's also the ability to this where you can use the same platform but build your own applications to replace InfoPath and other legacy solutions. And that's great if you're in the citizen developer model or you build your own model. People love it. It's great. They have a lot of fun with it. They go to NITRO Studio, they build the form, they build the workflow. It gives you a feeling of real accomplishment and creativity to do that. And plus, it becomes your own that you can own at that point. Now, I'm going to run through after this a few organizations that have moved in this direction successfully and show some examples of what we did. One is up in Eastern Washington, is Spokane Regional Health District, part of the city and county of Spokane, Washington. There's a health district there. And of course, with COVID and everything, they were under a lot of stress. And they moved to our NITRO Studio to replace InfoPath, replace the 2010, 2013 workflows. And they're up there building forms and workflows, automating processes as we speak right now. Quite a great customer, very active in using NITRO Studio and finding a lot of benefit to it. They've brought in our business applications of help desk and project manager. and the teams, they quickly adopt, people adopted teams up there, and they're looking at our bots and using them, because that's usually how it works out. First, you get an Office 365, you kind of catch your breath a little, you get some forms and workflows, some processes, some success in that direction, and then you start looking at, wow, now that I'm here, there's so much more I can do, and then you start to move towards looking at like more and more automation that's possible now that you're on this cloud and mobile based platform there. Now let's look at another one, California Air Resources Board. They wanted to improve service, reduce costs in the facilities work order, fleet tracking, their vehicles and requests. They were using outdated access database and paper processes. They actually had requests come in on paper. They were routed with paper, with those manila envelopes to get approval, signed, and then the staff manually entered the data into the database, and the users could not check the status because everything was, the Access database was not available. The Access database was actually on a drive that IT no longer wanted to support, and the developer was retiring. No one else knew how this thing was programmed. It's obviously time to replace this. And so they brought in our work order, our equipment tracking, request management, and significantly reducing costs, modernizing the system, reduce staff time entering information in the databases. Of course, everything was entered initially by the requester, which is obviously the way to go, and brought right into the SharePoint databases. There wasn't any, it was prevent a lot less data loss, and quicker and less time consuming. As you can imagine, getting off something that outdated and that clunky. But it's not unusual for organizations still be in that state and not seeing the benefits that can be, not yet seeing it, the benefits that our NITRO Studio, Office 365, SharePoint, and Teams can bring. So hopefully this will inspire movement in that direction, and for any of you to talk to us in more detail and find out, hey, what can I do here, and how can I make this happen? Then there's the Santa Clara Valley VTA, they call it Valley Transport Authority, the buses that keep Silicon Valley public transport going. So this was an interesting one. We developed a help desk for Office 365 for 50 different departments there. That was quite a project, still ongoing, full-featured platform, and many business processes. They can interact with the help desk desktop, tablet, mobile. So it's just, this is impressive because of the extent that we went to of creating these help desk for 50 different departments, which they're able to manage quite easily because they all have the same basic characteristics, the same admin screens, and once the person's familiar with it, they can move ahead. Plus, they did a lot of tweaking of it on their own, and quite a successful implementation there at VTA. Department of Social Services. These are all government agencies I'm highlighting. Of course, I could have highlighted a number of other manufacturing, retail, education, but this is government. So they, again, implemented NITRO Studio, and they got off the legacy solutions. Oh, Uli, well, I got the F here. Uli integrated. Oops, let me go back. Well, fully, it's supposed to say, integrated with Office 365 Teams, and they saved over $75,000 a year over their other solutions. So, substantial savings. There's some reality going on here as far as real people, real agencies, real people doing real things that move their agencies forward, and that's great. We love seeing that. We love helping our organizations do that. So now that I'm done with pretty much what I wanted to show in the PowerPoint, there's one other slide about how to get a hold of us, but you kind of know that. Go to our website, give us a call, give us email. But we're not over with the webinar because we're now going to go to show you some stuff live. Okay, so let me get that screen to make the transition here and show you some things going on here. So, 1 second. Okay, where are we? All right, let me bring this one over just for fun. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you, this is a asset management program. We have leads here. Okay, one thing I want to show you, just to give you a kind of background, what's going on here. This is a NITRO form. Put some data in here. We created this form. The form is created in our NITRO Studio, and we can attach custom actions to it and automation to it in many different ways. So the form underneath this application right here is our NITRO Studio. You see CRM, that's the name of the application. Here's all our NITRO Studio components: forms, workflows, reports, portal, many components here that power up the application. Or if you use this to build your own, you'd see that there's many capabilities to make it work the way you need it to work. Also, if you're in Office 365, there's advanced services like AI, bots, modern web parts, Teams integration. And the form itself that we were just looking at is built in our NITRO Forms Designer. So you can see here's the form in reality and use. Here's the form in our designer. We're designing it, and this form designer in and of itself could give you, I mean, you can spend, and it'd be fun to do actually, spend an hour or more with you showing you what's going on here. We do some webinars that focus just on using NITRO Studio, but this is meant to give you an overview. Here you have a form you built. Now you can build these forms in many, many different ways. This is a tab form with different sections. It has different tabs here for different reasons. Different things going on. And so this is a form that was built to track sales of this particular AMP program. So let's look at what's going on here with this itself. Now here it is, filled in. This is a fake account, of course. So there's RV information, there's notes, key items. There aren't any notes in here, but if there would be, there'd be there. There's a quote and related contact. So you can make this work the way you want. Different sections can show for different people. You can have cascaded lookups. You can have different arrangements of this. You have these custom actions that are associated with it and what they do. So in this one, we have a custom action called generate quote. I want to show this because one important thing in government we find is generating documents. So there's many, many things you can do with our NITRO Studio, but I think that highlighting one feature right now of generating documents would be kind of interesting to take a look at. So what we have going on is on the quote tab, we have some information that was entered, the quote number, the dates it's valid for, here's the items, the cost, and the annual amount. So if we went here and said new line item, it would enable us to select a product from our list and put it on there. Let's see, do we have training set? Let's just say professional services. We're going to add on here 250, and we're going to do these are just, let's say 20 hours, and it comes down to that. And then we're now added another line item right here. So here's, there's repeating rows going on. There we go, right? So if we here, we could add or delete them or modify them if we wanted, but it's pulling the information from another list over here, line items, and populating this here so that we can build up this document. Now, if you can imagine probably a number of uses for this kind of thing, but what's also we have going on is the generate a quote. So if we generate a quote right now, we're going to say, okay, from that form, that NITRO form, we're going to generate this quote right here. You can see the quote is right here with the user information, all the different factors I put in right there. Okay, let me cancel that for a second. And go here, close this, and we open it. And go here. Okay, and generate quote. See, and do that again. So you see it's that easy to do. It goes there, and you don't have to show this screen here unless you want to. And then you can see the quote is right here, and it has the information on it. Then if you do OK, you can save it, and it'll be attached to the document, to the form here. It was supposed to be form. Let me see. I'll close and save it. Anyway, it's supposed to get attached to the form so that you see that the quote is a part of this record of this person right here. Let's see. There it is right there. So see, the quote has been generated and attached to this item. So it keeps everything kind of in a neat format right here. And then if you want to send that out, you could to somebody. So that's just one example. And the quote itself is using a Word template. So it comes up looking kind of nice. And if you want to save it as a PDF, you could. And where is this? What's going on here? Well, that's not quite right. Okay, this is what happens in demo sometimes, but sorry about that. Let me go over here. I think I might have to download it first and then show it. But anyway, the point is it's right here in the system and available for people to use. That's one example. That's done by our custom action. So if you're in our NITRO forms, you see that there's a custom action right here that we put up here. And that's done through our custom actions tool. And custom actions tool can be gotten through here or through our NITRO apps up here. There's custom actions also, same place. If we go here and look at the custom action itself, you can see that there is this generate quote designer. And oops, if we go here and edit it, this is how NITRO Studio can create these workflows using a visual forms designer. You can set up a number of settings, conditions, variables, a number of tools up. Again, this is something that once you start using, it's a lot of fun, a lot of interest, but you can do all kinds of interesting things like with this forms designer to create the kind of workflows you want. So we come in here and you can add any one of these different kinds of actions that do different things, of course. You could add in a gateway. Let's move this a little and make room for a gateway. And what the gateway would do is say, based on certain conditions, either go this route or go the other route. And I'm just making stuff up here, so I don't really know. There'd be like another route the person could go over here. And I know there should be two, so that's why I'm doing right here. It's telling me what, there it goes like that, right? So based on what decision is made here, it'll either go this route or this route. And of course, you could have other gateways and other places and, really make it to do what you need to have done, right? So let's go here. And making it very easy to line these things up, and then another decision and go another branch like that, and then you end up creating this really cool workflow with ease just by dragging and dropping and creating different conditions and invoking different actions. What are the kind of actions? You can add a list item. You can create a new item, like a new task based on a project might have a series of tasks. You can update an existing one, the status on it based on certain things that happen. You can execute a JavaScript. You can send email just out to whomever, somebody on the form or a general address. You can send an SMS text to somebody like, hey, you just got a new ticket assigned to you. Go do that. You can invoke web services, which is used a lot. And James just did a whole workshop on invoking web services to engage with third-party outside systems. Upload the document. If you want to put a document into a document library, invoke a workflow. That could be a SharePoint workflow. It could be a Power Automate workflow or one of our workflows. You can generate the document. That's what it's doing right here, generating quote. You can query a list and get some information on it. That's what's done here in order to find out what items are related to this lead. So therefore I know which items to put into my quote. You can invoke other custom actions, send Teams messages, channels, and post adaptive cards. And so much you can do. This is a very powerful tool. This is not this is something that really can drive your automation forward. Now, do you need to know all this? Well, it's up to you if you want to know it. If you're a citizen developer and you want to jump in the pool here and play around with this, people have a lot of fun with it if you're of that bent and that's what you like to do. And then we're here, we do it all day long. We work with our customers constantly on these things. But if you just want the full-fledged application ready to go, well, we can go there and provide that also. And we do the back-end work because these applications are set up already to have that kind of functionality in them. So you might look at our this AMP program. If I go here and I look at the NITRO Studio that's underneath this, there are forms, workflows, and custom actions already built that power up this program right here. So someone could just come in and start using this program and not have to worry about the back end. Of course, if they did want to tweak it a bit and make it different, they would talk with us or do it themselves. It's up to you, and then we could manage to make a different characteristics or different forms, different fields, different custom actions, workflows, whatever, to make it work the way you want. This is how you start replacing the systems that you have in place that are like InfoPath or legacy or maybe even paper forms with much more powerful tools. This NITRO Studio is a well-developed program used a lot of places. It's really pretty cool. I really enjoy doing it. So here we are in the asset journey forms. We select the form of the assets. We go here and there's a form designer right here. Comes up. And say I want to add a field. I go here, add a field. So I want a yes/no field. It's called asset record complete. Is the asset record complete, or does it need more work? Is it to be yes/no? like that, right? A checkbox. The default will be no. Standard SharePoint column, we can add it right in. There it goes. Of course, there's a number of other types of columns we can create that relate to NITRO. Signature columns, a big one. People use that a lot. Lookup columns, associated items. In this case, we're going to go with that standard yes, no. Then we go over to forms controls and we look for that column, which we called asset record complete. And we want to drag it over to the form and put it someplace. Let's put it in this empty space right here. Asset record complete, right there. There it is. And when the person might start filling out the asset record but not have it complete, they don't want to check that till it's complete. And the reason for this, if it's not complete, if it's unchecked, after a certain period of time, the assigned to person will be notified that they have a job to come in and finish this. So it could be a workflow that runs, that checks, it looks for if this box is checked. If it's not checked, meaning that it's not complete, then the assigned to person has to go, will get a notification either by mail or text that they need to come in and complete this record, the financial information, whatever is missing on it. So let's publish this form. And we go ahead and publish it. You can put a note there if you want when you publish it. And then we go back over to the assets right here. Refresh it. Sometimes you're going to refresh a little bit to get that new form to kick in. And then when we open this up, there will be on this form the asset record complete. That was not here previously. And if you go to edit mode, you can now either check or not check it, depending on, if it's complete or not, of course, right? And what that does now is give us the ability to use this as a workflow item to say, if it's not complete, check every day, every week. If it's not complete, come here and notify the assigned to person. And that could be done built in a workflow in the workflow designer I was showing you earlier. And you can also do stuff like, if you want to have it done by a certain date, it could be a due date when the asset record needs to be completed and that kind of thing. So it's like all kinds of interesting, fun things you can do to make this form and workflows work the way you want, simply by, just using your sense or your logic, or use your noggin, as they say, a little bit, and figure out what's the way this can work the best. If you want to build an application like that. Now look at the other aspects. This program is quite interesting. It gets quite complex because they're doing preventative maintenance and they're trying to estimate cost into the future. All the tasks that are related to this asset are recorded as items, so people can look here and say, show me maintenance tasks, show me work order, show me preventative maintenance, reactive maintenance. You can see you get quite a good looking program going. Now these are, you don't want to like overwhelm you with like the complexity of this form, but I want to say that if you do have forms or workflows or processes that are more complicated than simply like, I need this, sign it to someone fulfills it. Those are great, that's easy, but there's also much more complex implementations we can do to make it. I showed you a little bit of the quote generation, document generation. This is showing you more and more features. There's a lot there's a lot to the NITRO Studio. It's pretty friggin' amazing, actually. So here we have the asset. This is just, I'm showing you this as a demo of what one particular implementation, I could show you help desk, I could show you purchasing, I could show you contracting. These are all processes that can be done to be automated inside of the NITRO Studio, Office 365, SharePoint, and Teams world. Now, before we get much further along, I'll just go through a few more things and show you something with the bots that I think is kind of interesting too. Right now, just one last thing about this AMP, it's related to work orders. The work orders is keeping going. The work orders is a system where people are working on different pieces of equipment. You call these assets, you call them equipment. They're maintaining these pieces of equipment. That's there's a correlation between the work orders over here. They're notified, people are assigned, people are given these jobs to do. They get printouts of their work orders, whatever. And then it's correlated with the asset that it's related to, the asset that you see over here, the asset. So from the work order point, you can see the asset. From the asset point of view, you can see all the work orders that are associated with it. So you get these two systems working very closely together. Then you go one step beyond that and go over to a portal. And this is, we can provide a portal here that for end users, residents, citizens, whatever, and they come in and they can have a nice looking portal. Of course, this is highly configurable, being in the modern UI. Can make it with almost like internet looking thing, very web-esque looking thing, whatever you want to call it, and put in all these features where you can person come here and just submit a new order or work order, or just submit a new. This probably wouldn't be submit a request. It's more like, hey, I need something done. The heater's not working, or the air conditioning's rattling, or something like that, and then you can come in and enter it right here. But the important thing is they can be checking the status of their work orders, or their requests, you could say, put in by going to this portal without having to go to the back end here and monkey around with this and try and find it. That's more for the administrators and workers and technicians. If you do want to make a nicer, simpler interface for the end users who don't need to manage that level of complexity, they can go to this portal and use it. Now, we can even go one step beyond that and put in bots also on this. And let me show you some of that bots and Teams integration of the people on Office 365 and what can go on with that. So I'm going to leave behind this asset journey work order system and go over to another program here. If you indulge me for a minute here, let's see, get it going here. This is, yeah, I think this is it right here. So I'll bring it over. Okay, that's the bot right there, SharePoint apps. That's the access request system, the portal. Okay, well, these are all like variations of the different applications, so it gives us a way to launch into it. So if you ever do a demo with Ryan or me, we'd start here and say, what do you want to see? Assets, customer service, requests, contract management, purchasing, like that. What I was going to show you here is the bot connectivity. So let's see what's going on here. So, okay, take a breath. We're in the Teams. We're in Teams. We want to go over to the NITRO bot over here, which is on the left panel, the launch bar, app launcher, whatever they call that left hand panel right here. NITRO bot's been installed in this system. That's our NITRO bot. It's been installed in this system. It's been pinned to the left-hand bar. If it wasn't pinned, the person could search it up here, find it, and pin it, or just say, hi, bot, or something up here, find the NITRO bot, and it would show up. But in this case, we're assuming that people already have it pinned to the left. So now people could use the SharePoint, they could use the portal, but this is another way people can engage with the system if you're on Teams. So down here, this person, admin account, AA, wants a vacation. So he's going to say, simply put in leave request in this bot. And the bot's going to respond with a form. That's a leave request form. Now, if you think about this, there's various ways a leave request could be done. Somebody could email in, somebody could drop off a piece of paper, somebody could call you up, somebody could use SharePoint. You got to think of what is the way to, what's going to work for users, what's going to be the most efficient, what's going to automate. Well, obviously using paper or email is a little bit, well, paper is especially primitive, but email even doesn't give you a very structured situation at all. The paper is structured, but it's not digital, so it's not very good either. SharePoint, do you want people going to the back end? Yeah, you can. Do you want them going to a portal? Yeah, they could. The bot is just another way to interact, but if they're using Teams, it's actually makes it very efficient, because watch what happens here. They fill out the form. They want, let's say, Thanksgiving holiday, Thanksgiving is probably a holiday anyway, but let's say Thanksgiving week off. They're given the whole week. Like here in in California, well, US, we have Thursday and Friday of Thanksgiving off. But this guy wants the whole week off. So he's going to go earn leave, and it's going to be the let's say the 23rd to 25th, because those are the actual days. The other 2 days are actually holidays. Need Monday through Wednesday off for family trips. If they want to put that, they don't have to. Now, what's going to happen when they submit it, right? Somebody has to go approve it. Okay, so they submit it. The bot, submits it for them. It goes into the back-end system, but at the same time, it also goes to the manager for approval. The manager is over here. The manager is in this browser over here. He just got a card. It's telling him. And here it is. This is what I just put in. This guy's James here. JR is James. James is the manager of AA. Okay, so AA submitted this request through the bot. In another Teams, I mean, it wouldn't obviously be on the same computer, but in a demo, I have these two different browsers going, pretending I'm two different people. So now I'm pretending I'm JR, and JR just got this leave request approval in his Teams from admin account. Normally that'd be somebody's name, like, Harry Potter or something. But this is a demo, so it says admin account. But anyway, it's a person, and this is an adaptive card that our NITRO workflow shows in Teams. And the James has the ability here to look at what's going on. He could open up the request itself in a browser, and then he can approve or deny it. Well, he's going to be a nice guy and approve it. He's going to say, fine with me, whatever he wants to say there, and he can do okay, and it's ready to go approved. So it's going to say here, success, the request is approved. And then if you go back, you get James out of the way here, and back over here, he gets this approval right here. Your request is approved by James Restivo, JR, right then and there. Fine with me. We just type that in, as you know, case ID, this and that, right? And he gets all done in Teams. Meanwhile, all this information is recorded in the back-end SharePoint application, the request management or HR request system. And if the HR admins want to go in there, or anybody, they can go and see that. Anybody who has the right permissions can go see the actual request itself. I don't think I have that site up right now. Is it? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I guess I could go, well, watch this. I can just go here and see it, right? By going here, I'll load it into here. Here's the request management system in the back end. And it'll show that Thanksgiving off. So if people are working in SharePoint, they'd see this, here it is right here. It just was all done. And this is good for reporting or work log or any kind of thing. So now you can see that it's part of the system in the back end, but we were dealing it entirely through the front end there of Teams, using Teams as a front end for this, right? Thanksgiving, it's right here, Thanksgiving week off, request, it's been, all that, you can see that's been approved. Anyway, it's right there. But here's even another interesting aspect to this whole thing, if you want to go in this direction with Teams. If you go to Teams, you go to Human Resources channel, Human Resources team, the general channel, you're going to see that our NITRO workflow has updated the channel to say Thanksgiving week off, admin account, and you can see more, see all this that's the admin account's email address, crowcanyon@crowcanyon365.com. And there it is. So they've been notified that this week off has been approved here, and they can download the original. Well, it's not really, it's kind of like original email, but it says download the original item and see it, right? So it's from CE, Crow Canyon email. So there you go. You're communicating in all these different ways through just all these workflows interacting with each other. And this is how you drive automation and move processes forward, is by taking these different aspects and working with a company like us who know how all this stuff works together quite well, and say, okay, what, we kind of do a little consulting and say, well, is your organization into Teams? Are you still on SharePoint on premises? You're going to stay there because of security reasons, compliance reasons? Are you in Office 365 and just, dipping your toe in the water, and you're this kind of bot stuff would blow people's minds, so you don't want to go that direction just yet? We can work with you whatever stage you're at. But in the demo, I wanted to show you the kind of wide range of possibilities when you bring NITRO Studio into the mix. You've got forms and workflows that can be used to build these very interesting forms that are easily tweaked and modified to meet your particular requirements. They can do many, many functions in them. They can communicate with, outside programs. They can communicate with, the end users. You can send text, email, Teams channels. There's so much you can do. So it's really a matter of, okay, what do you want done, and what's the best way for it to work inside of your organization, and how can we make it so that there's an effective solution that's put in place immediately or soon, but also future-proof it so that as Teams evolves or your organization evolves in its usage of Office 365, and people get more and more familiar with it, then it becomes an opportunity for growing, not just like if you keep using InfoPath forms or workflows or SharePoint workflows or was it Access? No, it's just a dead end. It's really not any future to it. But you jump on board with what we're doing here, you're going to find there's a great immediate benefit, but also future-proofing yourself by using all the working with a company that knows how to use all the great, the best and the best features and capabilities of these Microsoft collaboration platforms, whether it's SharePoint on premises, Teams, Office 365. And the way forward would be like, okay, what do you need done? If you just need a simple help desk or something like that, or we can do that. If you want some of this more complex capabilities, we can do that. Let me show you a little more here, because I want to say here that what we have going, we have all these applications with a help desk, an asset management program, a project manager, a customer support, work order management, contract, equipment, purchasing. These are all built using our NITRO Studio. And if you are overwhelmed or not really interested in NITRO forms and workflow, building a form or building a workflow on your own, these are all ready to go. If they do need a little bit of tweaking, another kind of custom action, a different kind of document generation, add a signature field, whatever needs to be done, that can easily be done without very much cost or effort to tweak these to be how you want them to be. But if you do want to go to full scale and build your own applications, get training from us and take and run, and that could be a very cost-effective solution. If you have, let's say, 50 or 100 InfoPath forms and processes you want to modify, then maybe it's better keep it in-house. And then you really get to know this, and it becomes a very powerful tool for you to build, you and your groups, whatever, to build these things the way you need them built. Just by you get the studio at a tenant level or a farm level, and then you can build unlimited forms, unlimited workflows. We're not like one of these organizations that have, oh, it's only so many flows, only so many forms, only so many something, times you can use the program. Once you're on the tenant subscription, you can build as many forms and workflows as you want. The only thing we gauge it on in pricing is the number of users in your organization. So if you have 100, 200, 300,000, whatever, the pricing is based on that, not on number of forms and workflows. Once you get in there, you get the training, you can build as many forms, workflows, and applications as you want. As you can see, I showed you the AMP one, the request management, all kinds of different ways to do it. Big on InfoPath replacement. That also includes Access, Lotus Notes, and everything else. She's all rah about it. It's kind of a funny picture. And then there's the teams and bots. I showed you a little bit of what the bots and what we're doing with that. So we're fully engaged in a way that can help you get the solutions you want. You can see that we have California government solutions right here. You work with different specialty solutions, different departments inside there. So I think the thing is to let us know what you need and how we can help you out. See if our pricing works for your budget. If you're planning budgets for next year, you can see what we can do about fitting in for that. Or if you have some needs right now, we can work with you. We also have many of these. What do you call it? I was talking about the bona fides, but purchase vehicles. We're on the California. If you're in California, the SLP, the software licensing program. If federal or on the GSA, we work through resellers or directly, depending on what your needs are. Everybody seems different. Some cities buy from us directly, some agencies, others go through resellers. It's really a mishmash of stuff, and we can work with any of that. Now, Ryan, you're there, right? You want any questions or anything you want to pop in with? Ryan,
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, it's muted. Nope. All the questions were asked early, and we got those answered. No, I think we covered it. Oh, the one thing that popped up in my head when we were talking about the InfoPath forms internally, I think one of the things that I've seen, or what I talk to government entities about when they come in for demos, you kind of start the initial conversation, and it's something to just kind of keep mindful of, is that a lot of these entities, these old InfoPath forms or whatever business processes, were built by a consultant. And that consultant has built the application in a way that made sense to them. Their consultancy runs up, and then the organization is kind of left with the program in a sense. And if it breaks, it falls apart. Eventually, sometime down the road, it's going to need to be changed, and we don't have the support model in place to handle that. So I'm not sure if we touched on it too much during the demo today, but I think that's a important piece as well to go along with the NITRO Studio. It's not just the tool set. While it is there, and we do provide training to give you guys the power to go out and do it on your own, having that support model underneath it really makes it makes it better than what you can do either as your own individual entity dealing with Microsoft's Power Platform or working through a consultant. You have kind of I don't know if hand-holding is the right word, but an extra layer of support there to make sure that you're going to get the process set up correctly, specifically to your requirements. Right? Doesn't that make sense, Scott?
That's absolutely right, and it's a good point you're bringing that out. Is that it's not just a matter of it's Crow Canyon. It's very, very interactive with our customers, and very concerned that they're successful in implementations. A large organization like Microsoft or a big consultant firm, kind of like they come and go, and even we have trouble getting support from Microsoft as a partner, let alone I can imagine anybody else. I mean, there's it's just much better. I mean, Ryan, you and I have been around a long time in this, and it's just much better to have a company that is of the right size, like us, that can provide the kind of level of support that's needed. If you have a problem, you want it answered within a short time, because it could be a critical issue. And we're here as that kind of service to help out. And we have a full support center, but we also have staff that's dedicated to that. And it's not, one of the things that is the hallmarks of Crow Canyon, and we've made it that way, is to provide as best support as we can to our customers, because we realize that they made an investment or a commitment to us, so we have a commitment to them too, to make it work, the programs work, and we're proud of that. I mean, we like to see our NITRO Studio in use. We like to see our applications and bots and everything in use, and to really move these organizations along that way. Yes, that's a good point about support, and also the idea of, like, if you do have a consultant build it, then the person takes off, well, you're kind of stuck. And with us, we're here. We've been here 22 years. Who knows? I guess we'll be here 22 years more at least. Who knows? But the point is, we're here to help support and also be kind of that buffer between Microsoft and Microsoft. Sometimes, it's like the big gorilla kind of, shrugs his shoulders, and all these problems cascade down. So we're here to help, buffer that, and we work closely with Microsoft, understand what it's coming out with, what the new features are, and pre-plan for those, I guess you could say, is the way to put it, and very much part of that community. We're going to a lot of trade shows until the COVID. Then it's going to start up, I guess. There's one in DC in December we're going to, and there's one in Dallas in February we're going to. So, we during the time when we were doing these trade shows, we were meeting a lot of our customers and talking to them directly. But even now, we do it. So anyway, Crow Canyon can work in many different industries. This webinar is focused on government. That could be any government anywhere in the world. It could be federal in the US. It could be state. It doesn't have to be just California. It could be any state. We're in a number of cities, large cities across the country. Phoenix, Indianapolis, those two at the top of my head. There's many others.
Baltimore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Shout out to Jimmy. I think Jimmy's on the call today.
Oh, good. Yeah. Shout out to Baltimore. Yeah. And there's counties, counties, cities, agencies, these third-party agencies, and both in California and federal government, there's a zillion of them. So plenty of opportunity to come on board and help you out. So what do you think, Ryan? Next thing is, hopefully people on the webinar will get in touch and find out more how we can help, make some contact. Don't worry, we don't bite. You can do a free demo, free consultation. I think people are afraid to make that step. They go watch a webinar and then they're like, well, do I really want to have a sales guy call? Well, it's not really that way. We're just saying, like, hey, can we help you out? Are we in the, are we somebody who can make it work for you? Is this something? And if it can't, it can't. That's fine. But a lot of times it can. So, we can't expect people to know everything about possibilities of SharePoint and Office 365 Teams. That's what we do. So we're here to help advise on if this is a good way to go or not, and what the effort would be to get there. So I think that's good. That's right at the top of the hour. I think we'll let everybody go. And thank you very much for attending this webinar. If you do have questions, email Ryan or me. You can email sales@crowcanyon.com. Give a call. Check out our website. We do have upcoming webinars. Like I said, in 2 weeks, there's one on using Teams to replace legacy forms. Trying to emphasize the Teams aspect, what can be done, all the different channels, the portals, the way you can embed files, the way you can do collaboration in that. It's going to be quite an interesting one. More on the bot. And we have something, well, you can see our website, we have a few others going on. But again, thank you all for attending, and I hope to hear from you, and feel free to contact us about any questions or comments or feedback. We'll send out a email with the recording. And thank you again. Thank you, Ryan, for helping out. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Good
Okay.
stuff.
Bye-bye.